November 30th, 2021, a tragic school shooting occurred at Oxford High School in Oxford, Michigan. The alleged perpetrator was 15-year-old Ethan Crumbley, a student at the school. He opened fire, resulting in the deaths of 4 students and in the injury of several others. Following the shooting, the authorities launched an investigation into the incident. On December 1st, 2021, James and Jennifer Crumbley, the parents of the accused shooter, were charged with involuntary manslaughter. The charges were based on the claim that they failed to prevent their son from accessing the firearm used in the shooting, despite having knowledge of concerning behavior exhibited by him. Reports indicated that the parents purchased the handgun used in the shooting and that he had posted disturbing content on social media prior to the incident. James and Jennifer Crumbley were arrested, and legal proceedings began against them. Let's revisit those events. Thank you for joining me for this video walkthrough of the Crumbleys in the aftermath of the Oxford school shooting. We're going to start out with Jennifer and James being down in Detroit. After leaving their home in Oxford, it was being searched. They stayed in Auburn Hills, then they went up to Lapeer. They purchased their burner phones, then they went to Rochester Hills, took money out of an ATM, and then went to their friend's art studio in downtown Detroit. In Jennifer's trial, we watched the man who spotted the car and Jennifer outside and reported it to police.
The Oakland shooter, the kid, has the 2 parents that are on the run right now, and it said, Oakland County said, call if you see anything. And I just went to go park my car and switch it around at my office. I'm at my office, and there was a Kia that looked like their car, and I walked around and checked the license plate, and it's their car, and the woman is here next to the car.
The woman is where?
Sitting next to her car in the parking lot.
James and Jennifer Crumbley remain locked up on charges of involuntary manslaughter with bail set at $500,000 each.
The north parking lot, you have the vehicle, it's a black Kia.
Seeing Jennifer Crumbley sitting outside the vehicle.
I want you to put in 2 perimeters, tight one around that building vehicle, and expand it further out.
But another thing came out on Friday when the door opened, so to speak, and we found out that Jennifer, who claimed she was sleeping in the art studio, was actually texting from her phone, but she blames it on her husband, James. But more importantly, she was not only texting when she said she was sleeping, but she was texting her lawyer, Shannon Smith. Check out this clip. The timeline of this bit is at 11 o'clock, Jennifer claims she took the 4 Xanax and she was zonked out. These text messages to Shannon happened at 11:16. And wait till you hear what the text message contains and Shake It Off Shannon's reply.
The records.
Correct.
The next message you send was, think we might have found, don't know, just heads up, please check. December the 3rd, 2021, 11:14 p.m.
That was written, but I do not believe it was written by me.
Okay, you don't remember. Well, you told us you don't remember any of these text messages. You just
Right. I
don't
read
remember this one?
read through it, but
You don't deny that this was on your phone, what we refer to as the burner or track phone.
correct. We
You don't deny that.
were both using that phone at the time because my husband's broke.
Okay. And then you wrote in quick succession, don't know, 11:16 p.m. We might have been found, 11:16 p.m. laying low, 11:16 p.m. You don't deny that these are the records?
No, I don't.
Okay. Response from Shannon, oh shit. Friday, December 3rd, 2021, 11:16 p.m. Now we know from all of the objective evidence, the testimony, the video, everything that the officers testified to, they were on scene before 11 p.m. You don't deny that?
No, I don't.
You don't deny that there were hundreds of officers on scene?
I don't know how many were on scene.
Okay. How many did you see when you got pulled out of the art studio?
Honestly, I don't know. It all happened so fast. I knew there was more. There was a few. There was more than a few, but not.
We saw the body camera footage.
We got other resources coming your way.
From air support to U.S. Marshals, including the Oakland County Sheriff's Office, all were on the scene to comb the area for the fugitives. And at 3 this morning, Detroit Police Chief James White broke the news.
You know, they were in a commercial building, in a room. We were able to take them into custody without incident, but however, they were very distressed as they were walking out.
James and Jennifer Crumbley were unarmed at the time of the arrest. Meanwhile, their attorney, Shannon Smith, assured 7 Action News last night that the couple is not on the run.
And quite frankly, they've been out of town. They are making their way back here. They will be arraigned. They will be turned in. We would have done it today had we gotten more information in advance.
Okay. Response from Shannon, oh shit.
This is indicative of turning himself in, hiding in a warehouse. So, I don't know.
So there you have it. Shannon Smith communicating with Jennifer and James Crumbley the night they weren't hiding out, the night they weren't fleeing. Well, it's time to watch some clips of them in court after the arrest.
They didn't turn themselves in, and we were told they were out of town, except that yesterday morning they withdrew $4,000 from an ATM in Rochester Hills, very close to the court where they could have turned themselves in with no events and no efforts on behalf of law enforcement. Instead, they fled, and they sought multiple attempts to hide their location, and were eventually tracked down after they parked their car somewhere. A witness saw it, and the entire fugitive apprehension team with multiple other law enforcement agencies went into a vacant building and searched it from top to bottom. And these 2 individuals were found locked somewhere in a room hiding. These are not people that we can be assured will return to court on their own.
So, of course, this happened.
Following their arraignment, their bond was set at $500,000 each. So Muriel and Shannon set a bond hearing. Here's what happened there.
In fact, they did reside in the state of Florida, and as the prosecutor indicated, they still have family in the state of Florida. After the charges were issued, the defendants did not voluntarily turn themselves in. Instead, they were found in an abandoned building in the city of Detroit. Their vehicle was hidden to the extent that they were trying to avoid anybody being able to see their license plate. They withdrew a substantial amount of money from bank accounts, and they were not answering attorneys' calls. The seriousness of the charges, I think, is self-explanatory. They are each charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. So taking all those factors into consideration, the court finds that the bond as set is reasonable and is denying the motion to amend the bond. We will continue to the preliminary examination on February 8th. And at that point, the court will make a determination as to whether or not other days are necessary for purposes of conducting the preliminary examination. Before we disconnect, I do want to have a conversation with all attorneys in a breakout room. So Amy, if you could please put the attorneys in a breakout room with me, please.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Judge.
This part shows a little bit more about James and Jennifer's character. As you could see, the attorneys all went into a Zoom breakout room. So Jennifer and James were left in the Zoom meeting, seemingly alone. And watch what they did.
All right, so right there, they are in a breakout session, but you just heard there that the reduce in bond not going to happen there, and you're seeing the reactions from the parents there, and even at times while this hearing was going on, you were hearing just seeing their reactions, and now you can see that they are trying to communicate sign language with each other right now as they are in breakout sessions with the attorneys here. And it looks like an officer has now come to make sure that that won't happen again, but that is very, very interesting to see there. But what I was saying was during this whole hearing, you were really seeing the facial reactions from the parents as they were hearing these different types of motions. You're watching Live Down from Fox, everybody. We're going to take our...
Unbelievable, right? Would you do the same thing? Would you try to sign language your significant other if you were in the same predicament? Funny that the I love yous were flowing back then. Now let's take a listen to Karen McDonald, Oakland County prosecutor, announcing the charges against James and Jennifer in a press conference.
Dangerous and disturbed.
Take a close look at these two social media posts prosecutor Karen McDonald specifically referred to as crucial evidence considered in charging parents Jennifer and James Crumbley with involuntary manslaughter. On the left, she says a post by their 15-year-old son, accused Oxford High School shooter Ethan Crumbley, shows the handgun used during an act of terrorism causing death. The post on the right from his mother, calling the gun a Christmas gift.
The 6-hour 9mm handgun purchased by James Crumbley was stored unlocked in a drawer in James and Jennifer's bedroom. The gun recovered from the shooter at the school after the shooting was the same gun that was purchased by his father.
Today, the prosecutor discussing at length a meeting that took place with Ethan and his parents the same day of the shooting at the school, and revealing the troubling behavior he allegedly showed in the time before the tragedy. A note that caught the attention of a teacher.
A drawing of a semi-automatic handgun pointing at the words, quote, "The thoughts won't stop, help me," end quote. In another section of the note was a drawing of a bullet with the following words above that bullet, quote, "Blood everywhere," end quote. Further down the drawing are the words, quote, "My life is useless," end quote. The world is...
We're bouncing around just a little bit, but I wanted you guys to listen to all of the bond hearing. So we're going to start that over at the beginning, the sign language hearing, and we're going to listen to that.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Marielle Lehman on behalf of James and Jennifer Crumbley.
And good afternoon, Your Honor. I'm Shannon Smith on behalf of James and Jennifer Crumbley. Today is the date and time set for the defendant's motion to amend bond. The court is hearing this motion by Zoom. Both defendants are at the Oakland County Jail and are appearing by Zoom, as are their attorneys and the prosecutor.
The criteria for determining an appropriate bond. The defense has filed a motion, which we are aware that the court has reviewed and has read thoroughly. However, there are a number of false, misleading, and irrelevant statements made by the prosecution in its response, which we will address today. First, the information provided by the prosecution related to extramarital relationships is not only clearly irrelevant to the issue of bond or any criminal responsibility, but is also a clear intention by the prosecution to create a conflict between the parties. Your Honor, there is no conflict. We have explained and discussed the matter of extramarital relationships with our clients, and there are no issues. Finally, any evidence or information obtained about extramarital relationships and subsequently used in the prosecution's response runs afoul of the Michigan Supreme Court's holding in People versus Hughes, which is 506 Mich 512. In that case, which is
You heard from the objection sisters. Now let's hear from the prosecution regarding the bond.
Crumbley was called to the school. She first asked if they could call her husband instead. When she was informed that they tried to call her husband, but when he picked up, they only heard dead air, she then responded, "Well, I'll see if he can come to the school." Eventually, they both arrived together at the school. They're given the opportunity to view the worksheet that Ethan Crumbley drew, what's been admitted as Exhibit 1 and 2, and they're told that immediate therapy is needed. Immediate as in that day. They resisted, instead asserting that they couldn't possibly take him out of school because of work. We have since learned that Jennifer Crumbley's employer would have gladly given her the day off, and she did not have any meeting scheduled until later in the day. As you have heard Prosecutor McDonald state, Judge, we also learned that James Crumbley was a DoorDash driver, giving him ample opportunity, to bring Ethan Crumbley with him.
Jennifer's body language is everything in this video. It seems she has no compassion for the victims. She is only worried about herself.
When they were given the drawing, neither one of them bothered to mention that the gun drawn by Ethan bore a striking resemblance to the gun they bought for him 4 days before. They never bothered to mention they didn't keep that gun in a gun safe, locked and secured. They also never bothered to mention that Ethan had displayed any of the troubling behavior that I had outlined. Instead, they said they couldn't take him home, and Jennifer's words to end the meeting were, "Are we done here?" This caused the counselor so much concern that he gave them a 48-hour deadline to call therapy, or to begin therapy, or he would call CPS. And that is the evidence that will be admitted when those witnesses testify at the preliminary examination. Judge, the timing is important as well. The defendants left the school at roughly 10:55 a.m. The shooting didn't begin until 12:51 p.m. The Crumbleys lived just down the road from Oxford High School. Even if for some reason they didn't want to tell the school about what they knew, they had ample opportunity to drive home, take 2 minutes to see if the gun was still there. They failed to do so. But when news of the shooting broke, each of them quickly concluded that their son was the one responsible. James went to his house and called 911, telling dispatcher that the gun was missing and his son might have done it. Jennifer texted Ethan and said, "Don't do it." She also texted a coworker that the gun was missing, and she was concerned that Ethan was responsible. Judge, this is a snapshot of the evidence that will be admitted on February the 8th and the ensuing dates for the preliminary examination. Search warrant returns are still coming in. We expect, based upon what we've seen so far, that the additional evidence will be inculpatory as well. I expect at the examination to lay out the facts and to give rise to these 4 charges. I expect this court will find probable cause to move this case on. At this juncture, I don't believe there is any reason why this court should amend the bond that was previously set. This court will have every opportunity to evaluate the facts and the evidence when presented at the appropriate time. I ask that these defendants' motion denied, Judge.
Thank you.
Your Honor, may I have a brief rebuttal? Just
very brief, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. As the court is aware, shortly after the shooting on November 30th of 2021, the Crumbley's home address was listed on the internet and was also discussed on the record at their arraignment. Prior to being charged and arrested, they had received and been made aware of a plethora of threats to their lives and to their safety and had to leave their home. The sale of their home has been necessary as it is no longer a safe location for them to live, but it has nothing to do with a flight risk. Your Honor, further and of importance is the prosecution in this case is trying to avoid the fact that the defense had repeatedly tried to contact them and to connect all day to make plans to turn our clients in on the charges that they had been sworn to at noon that day. So, Your Honor, they were not trying to flee, Your Honor. They are not a flight risk. They were not a flight risk. And we're asking that the court grant our motion to reduce the bond.
They had a different judge at this time. This was not Judge Cheryl Matthews, but let's listen to the judge's ruling on the Crumbley's bond. I wish she would have just given him a big hail to the no. But this is what she said.
That court rule requires that the court set a bond that will reasonably assure appearances of the defendant for all court hearings and also reasonably assure any risk and or evaluation of risk to public safety. The factors that the court is to consider are all listed in subsection F of the court rule. Those factors, and some of they are not mutually exclusive, but those factors include prior criminal history. And in this case, the defendants did have a prior misdemeanor conviction in the state of Florida. Their record of appearances or non-appearances at court proceedings or flight to avoid prosecution, the defendant's history of substance abuse or addiction, the seriousness of the offense charged, the presence or absence of threats, and the probability of conviction, and likely sentence, the defendant's employment status and history, and financial history as the factors relate to the ability to post, and facts indicating that the defendant's ties to the community, including family ties and relationships, and lengths of residency. In this case, the court makes the following finding: that the defendants in this case have ties to the state of Florida. In fact, they did reside in the state of Florida, and as the prosecutor indicated, they still have family in the state of Florida. After the charges were issued, the defendants did not voluntarily turn themselves in. Instead, they were found in an abandoned building in the city of Detroit. Their vehicle was hidden to the extent that they were trying to avoid anybody being able to see their license plate. They withdrew a substantial amount of money from bank accounts, and they were not answering attorneys' calls. The seriousness of the charges, I think, is self-explanatory. They are each charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. So taking all those factors into consideration, the court finds that the bond as set is reasonable and is denying the motion to amend the bond.
At the time I prepped for this video, it was before the affair came out in trial, because I didn't think it was going to come out. And then the door was opened, so to speak, and everything came out.
Bring it all in.
So here is testimony from the coworker from one of the pretrial hearings. And she's the one that testified about the Costco parking lot. And Jennifer confided in her about the affair. But then in the trial, Jennifer tried to downplay her relationship with this girl. Oh, I don't have anything in common with her. I would never hang out with her. I didn't see her after work. But we hear from this girl that there was no way she was going to hang out with Jennifer Crumbley after work. She seems like she was just the office kind of gossiper. And her office happened to butt up to the owner, and she could hear all the conversations. So this girl's got the scoop. Let's listen to her.
Where I had noticed that she wasn't there in the morning, and she had mentioned that she had seen a man in the morning during work hours.
What do you mean you noticed she wasn't there? Was it before she was supposed to come into work?
I typically got in after her. I would notice that she had been there, her light was on and everything, but she was not there. And it would be about an hour until I would see her afterwards.
Did you ask her about that, or did she just?
I didn't ask, but she had mentioned, errands at first, and then she had mentioned about a week after that she was seeing somebody else.
And where would she? Did she say where she would go during those hours?
She said that this person would pick her up, and they would go across the street from our office.
To where?
Costco.
And did she say what they were doing?
Not directly, no.
Okay. Was there anything unusual that occurred that day?
She mentioned that she got a message from the school, but she didn't go or do anything, I don't think.
Okay. Did she say what the message was?
No.
Did she seem concerned in any way?
No.
How would you describe her demeanor?
Normal, calm.
Okay. Did she say what she was going to do with regard to that message, or what she was going to do after work at all?
No.
Okay. Did you become aware of a call about her son?
Yes.
And how did you become aware?
She took a phone call and I could hear it.
You could hear, I'm sorry, what?
I could hear her phone call.
Okay. And do you know who she was talking to?
James.
Okay. And what was the subject of the call? What were they talking about?
He had called her, or no, I'm sorry. I apologize. I think I've mixed up the calls. This was later in the day. The first call was from the school.
Okay.
That there was an issue at the school. That's all I could gather from the call.
Okay. What did she do after that?
She called James.
And what did she tell James?
She was asking him if he was able to come to the school to check on the situation.
Did she say how she felt about going to the school?
No.
Okay. Did she say whether she wanted to go or didn't want to go?
No.
Okay. Was she trying to ask James to go instead of her, or they were to come too?
It sounded like she wanted James to go, and then there was another call after that one, and that's when she decided to go as well.
Do you know what changed her mind?
No.
Okay. And did she come back to work that day?
Yes.
All right. When she came back to work, what did she tell you?
She came over to my desk, She said that she felt like a failure as a parent, and she showed me a photo of what Ethan had drawn at school.
Back to that disgusting worksheet that Jennifer admits in the evidence that just recently came out in the cash cab, as we call it, which is also known as the back of the deputy's police car. She confesses to not even really looking at the worksheet until after the shooting.
And we were just at the counter office because Ethan was drawing some weird images on some paper. And then all of a sudden there's an active shooter.
What kind of images was he drawing?
On my phone. I didn't look at that closely because, well, now that when I was at the substation and looked at them more closely, they're a little disturbing. Well, they're very disturbing. Because look what he just fucking did. And this was just, we literally left the school. I went back to work and then this started happening.
I'm going to take a picture of this, okay? It's not under homework.
It was on a math assignment that they were supposed to turn in.
What did he say when you started talking to him today with the council?
He said he was sorry that we lost a dog. His best friend got sent to an OCD disability treatment thing. And my mother-in-law passed away, and he said he was dealing with a lot of stress, and he was just putting thoughts on papers.
I know that part was a little difficult to hear, so hopefully the captions helped a bit. But now we're going to hear Shannon Smith cross-examine the coworker. And things don't really go that well because everything she says, the coworker's like, no, she didn't do that.
Was also seemed concerned about that drawing on that back paperwork, correct?
Yes.
She was talking about whether or not he would stay at school or if he was coming home that day, correct?
No.
She ultimately told you that they left him at school that day. You're aware of that, correct?
Yes, she told.
Did you have conversations with Jennifer about why they left him at school?
Yes.
Were you aware that the school told Jennifer he was of no threat to anyone?
Objection, Your Honor, that is not a fact and evidence. Anywhere.
I'm asking if she's aware.
Can you answer the question? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, would you mind repeating it?
Were you aware, did Jennifer say anything that the school told Jennifer he is not a threat to anyone?
No.
Did Jennifer tell you any concerns about Ethan staying home from school versus going because of how the Zoom school year had gone the year before?
No.
Did Jennifer tell you anything about having...
This same witness testifies that Jennifer locked her son out of the house the night before the shooting. And stick around at the end of this video. I'm going to give you my theory on how I think Ethan got his hands on the gun.
Night that they had a fight.
Did she say who's they?
No, it sounded like it was all of them, but she said that Ethan was out of the house and she locked him.
She locked him out of the house?
Yes.
Did you have a response to that?
No, I kind of I didn't really ask questions. I didn't push it or anything. I just kind of let it go.
Okay.
You know, it was the morning.
Did you give her any indication? Well, let me ask you this. What did you think about that?
I kind of just gave a look and, you know.
What do you mean gave a look?
Kind of just like surprised, you know, but I didn't really go into detail.
Did she react to your...
Okay, so now on to my theory, and hear me out. Jennifer and Ethan go to the shooting range on Saturday, November 27th, 2021, 2 days before the shooting. Jennifer brought a box of ammo and the gun with her. She stated that James put the gun in her car for her because she didn't know how to transport the gun. Well, after she gets home, she testifies that she carried the ammo in and then hid it.
You put some.
The box of them, yes, I did. I hid them.
Now, on November the 27th, when you came home, you posted pictures of the gun in targets to your Instagram account.
Correct.
And then, according to the location data, your location data, you left.
I think this only went, well, I don't know. I must have, yeah.
Well, you don't deny that.
I don't deny it.
And your husband, James, was gone all day, according to his location data.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
And she says that she kept the gun in the car for James to bring in when he got home from work that day. But we don't know if that ever happened. We don't know if James brought the gun in. But what we do know is that Ethan and his parents got in a fight. He went outside and she locked the door. And my theory is that Ethan made that video and grabbed the gun out of his mother's car and put it in his backpack. That video was recorded at 10 o'clock at night, and then he was dropped off first thing in the morning by his dad at Oxford High School. Jennifer wakes up late, goes into work, and then gets the call about the worksheet. They go to the school. She doesn't really look at the worksheet, per her own words, until they hear there's an active shooter. Jennifer then, according to her boss, he hears a screaming and ruckus. She runs outside, down the hall, and then comes back in. I think Ethan did it.
Now, you don't deny that, at least according to the cell phone evidence, the photographic and video evidence, you're the last adult to have possession of that gun.
Correct.
Okay. You were with him at the range on November the 27th.
Correct.
You saw your son shoot the weapon.
Correct.
You saw him shoot the last practice round before the shooting on November 30th.
At the range?
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
You saw how he...
And the timeline starts from there. But I think Jennifer ran outside to check her car for the gun. It wasn't there. She texted James emergency. And then James checked the box at the house. And then he called 911. We're going to listen to that 911 call right now.
911, what's the location of the emergency? Okay, I'm not really sure. I'm at my house. There's an active shooter situation going on at the high school. My son goes to the high school. I have a missing gun at my house. I need an officer to come to my house right away, please. Okay, I'm not going to be able to send anybody to your house right now. So they're on the active shooter situation right now. I understand that. There's a missing gun there. I have a missing gun, and my son is at the school, and we had to go meet with the counselor this morning because of something that he wrote on a test paper, and then I was in down, and I saw a whole bunch of cops going somewhere, and I made sure that I wanted to get to the high school, so someone was going to the high school, and then somebody told me that there was an active shooter, and then I raced home just to find out. Okay, and I think my son took the gun. I don't know if it's him. I don't know what's going on. I'm really freaking out. My son's name is James Crumbley. C-R-U-M-B-L-E-Y. L-E-Y. All right, so I'm going to put you on hold for just 1 second, okay? I'm about to come in and see if I can do anything for you, okay? Or the son will. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Crumbley? Yeah. All right, I'm going to get your name and phone number, and I'm going to have my lieutenant that's out there dealing with the situation. He's going to contact you, okay? What's your first name? My first name is James. Is the last name Crumbley? Yeah. Okay. And what's that phone number for you? 248-760-6483. Okay, do you know what your son was doing when he left the house this morning? He had on a pair of sweatpants and like a gray shirt. A gray white sweatshirt. Okay. Alright. Somebody's going to give you a call, okay? I can't give you a time frame because of it. They're right in the middle of all of this. So I can't give you a time frame, but they're going to give you a call as soon as it's possible, okay? Okay. Alright, thank you. Bye-bye.
I can't wait to hear all of your thoughts on all of this information. Let me know your comments in the comment section below. And I'll leave you with this final clip of James and Jennifer at the Oakland County substation right after James had called 911.
4 students.
Why?
But the only thing he cared about was his cat, Dexter, apparently named after the fictional serial killer in the Showtime TV series Dexter. James and Jennifer Crumbley had just been told by cops that their son gunned down the students at his high school outside Detroit. They're taken to see their son, and there he was, handcuffed to the wall. He avoids making eye contact with them.
I don't think you need to ask any questions right now.
As the brief encounter ends, Ethan is only concerned about his cat, Dexter.
Be sure to check out my other videos and playlists for more true crime content. And if that's not enough, you can join our Patreon. Don't have a tinfoil hat? It's okay. We'll make you one. It's that easy. See you guys in the next video.
See you later. Bye.